Bayley badly injured as Lyra Valkyria unleashes chaos on her during WWE live event. She walked into Madison Square Garden as a hero. She left on a stretcher of humiliation, laid out cold, twice, by the very woman she once called a partner. Ladies and gentlemen, Lyra Valkyria did not just beat Bayley at Saturday night's main event. She dismantled her, piece by piece, in front of the most famous arena on the planet. And if you think that sentence sounds dramatic, wait until you hear what happened after the bell rang. Before we get into the wreckage, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell, because Wrestling Rush News is about to break down every gruesome detail of this implosion, and trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next in this rivalry. Let us rewind for a second, because context makes this betrayal hurt even more. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria were tag team partners. Best friends. The kind of duo that chased championship gold together and lost together, which, if you know anything about wrestling storytelling, is basically a giant neon sign that says, "Betrayal incoming." That betrayal arrived on Monday Night Raw when Valkyria snapped, turned her back on Bayley, and declared that their partnership had done nothing but hold her back. Ouch. That is the wrestling equivalent of a business partner texting you, "It's not you, it's me," and then taking the company car. So when these two finally collided one-on-one at Saturday night's main event in New York City, the tension was not manufactured, it was earned. And from the opening bell, this match had the energy of two co-workers finally saying everything they had bottled up for months. Here is where things got messy, fast. Less than 3 minutes into the match, Bayley caught Valkyria with a forearm strike while she was down on the outside. The shot landed clean, opened up Valkyria's nose, and suddenly there was blood pooling on the arena floor. The referee had to pause the match just to check on he. Think about that. 3 minutes in, and we already had a visible, bloody injury. That is not a slow burn, that is a wrestling match that skipped the appetizer and went straight for the main course. But here is the twist that makes Valkyria's new heel persona genuinely terrifying: she did not stop. She did not tap out. She fought through what looked like a broken nose and kept coming, like a horror movie villain who refuses to stay down no matter how many times you hit them with the shovel. By the closing stretch, the momentum flipped completely. Valkyria locked in a brand new submission hold, one nobody had seen from her before, and forced Bayley to pass out rather than tap. Passing out in a submission is one of the most brutal finishes in wrestling, because it strips away any choice. Bayley did not give up. Her body simply shut down. And that is where most matches would end. A clean, if bloody, victory. Somebody go get the trainers, roll the credits. Except Valkyria was just getting started. The moment the referee called for the bell, Valkyria reapplied that same submission hold on an already unconscious Bayley, waking her back up just long enough to put her right back to sleep a second time. If that sounds excessive, that is because it absolutely was excessive, and that is exactly the point. This was not a wrestling move anymore, this was a message. Then came the part that had the entire Madison Square Garden crowd audibly gasping. Valkyria hoisted her former best friend onto her shoulders and drove her down onto the unforgiving steel ring steps. Not the mat. Not the floor. The steel steps, the one prop in wrestling that makes every fan wince because we all know those things do not have any give whatsoever. Bayley was left laid out, motionless, while Valkyria stood over her, completely unbothered, debuting a darker, more dangerous version of herself in real time. Now here is the part that turns this from a wrestling angle into a genuine headline. In the aftermath, Bayley herself came forward and revealed she had suffered a facial injury of her own during the assault. So let us tally the damage. Valkyria, walking around with what looked like a broken nose. Bayley, dealing with facial injuries from being driven into steel steps. Two former best friends, both banged up, both changed, and one relationship in the wrestling business that is now beyond repair. What makes this angle so effective is the timing. Bayley and Valkyria were reportedly on a collision course toward a triple threat matchup involving Becky Lynch and the Women's Intercontinental Championship at the upcoming Evolution Premium Live event. Suddenly, that match does not just have championship stakes, it has blood, betrayal, and a beatdown that the entire wrestling world is still talking about. If WWE wanted to make this feel personal before the two women even step into the ring together again, mission accomplished. Despite everything, Bayley still showed up. She appeared publicly alongside AJ Lee and Paige, and she was reportedly still expected on WWE Raw that same week, proving that whatever damage was done, her spirit clearly was not broken along with anything else. Meanwhile, Valkyria has fully embraced this darker, more ruthless chapter of her career, debuting new entrance music and a completely reworked presentation to match her new attitude. This is not a phase. This looks like the beginning of a genuine main roster reinvention. So where does this go from here? Does Bayley get her long-awaited comeback story, clawing her way back from betrayal and injury to reclaim her spot at the top of the women's division? Or does Valkyria's Chaos era only get darker, more calculated, and more terrifying with every passing week? One thing is certain, this rivalry just went from a storyline to a genuine grudge, and the fallout is far from finished. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.